million of alcohol was sold in the province of Ontario in less than 24 hours. So the public wants the product, whatever product we're talking about. There is a demand for that product, and as I think we'll talk about it to some extent, is given that demand that goes back to the beginning of time, how does one minimize the harm while ensuring that access is provided in a responsible manner? Because the products will be consumed.
But over the last 5-10 years, the OLG has done a change and have now educated and done research on how to, what can we do to help people not develop a gambling problem. And I think that's on the right track. Where I see the future going, and what I would like to see, is in my recovery, I realized that my gambling, I think, was a result of various traumas I've had in my life and various mental illnesses that I never dealt with. And because I found gambling helped me feel better about myself, I just got into gambling. So where I'd like to see moving forward past responsible gambling is how do we bring in the mental health spectrum into responsible gambling? And
there are always, I think that the thing that cheers me is recognizing that all of these different products aren't necessarily or always the cause of what the issue is. The thing that encourages me is that our understanding of people and the circumstances people are in is becoming more robust, so that we know that when somebody is doing something with alcohol or has a problem gaming, as we just heard, or is using drugs in an unsafe way, there's probably something else going on in their life, and this is one aspect of it. In the past, we've tended to look at those things and say, yeah, if that person just didn't do that, everything would be fine. And we know, today we know that's not true.
When you impose things on people, and a lot of people think that we should, a lot of people think, OLG, these people are problem gamblers, just cut them off. The evidence is starting to show that overall, that doesn't necessarily change people's behavior in the long term. But what can be more effective on the prevention side is giving people essentially the seat belts and airbags to control their own behavior, know what they're doing, and take charge of it themselves. And for us to give them feedback on what we're seeing and supports. I think that's the right model. I think we have the right model now. It's a matter of building it and integrating it into actually the gambling experience that's going to make the difference if we're more successful at preventing it.
Now we're focused on what's effective. So more isn't necessarily better when it comes to rules. And in fact, when we took an examination of a lot of the rules that we had in both sectors, there were unintended consequences that were actually quite negative. So to just add rules and controls in isn't necessarily a very good answer. So one of the things, as I mentioned, we're actually developing a data analytics capability. And I think we will get better and better at actually being able to target regulation so that it's not just a law, it's actually effective.
But some people really don't have the capacity. We know now through neuroscience that life experiences, adverse life experiences change people's brain structure. It changes their prefrontal cortex's ability to make critical decisions or critical thinking. So we know that there's people there that are really disadvantaged, and they use these products to self-soothe, to self-medicate, and I go back to that argument. And those are the people who I see in the work that I do. I don't see a lot of people that are dependent through the route of I've done this habitually. It's usually the emotional vulnerability individual who's experiencing emotional vulnerability that I'm seeing. It's more so that being the case with both gambling and alcohol use than any other reason.
We're dealing in medicine now, and so by its very nature, it's being prescribed to somebody who has an ailment already, and this is meant to improve their condition, either in some cases by directly curing a problem, and in other cases just by suppressing the symptoms that make life difficult on a day-to-day basis. And so you have a continuum of recreational and medical, and I think the vast majority of users really fall into this therapeutic category, where they have found that it's helpful for them on a day-to-day basis or week-to-week basis or whatever their usage patterns are, that is actually bringing them some benefit.
We actually have police come through our facility. We have general public come through our facility sometimes. And when they see the production and they see the cleanliness, they see the GMP standards in effect, they see the security. It really takes that curtain away and destigmatizes the production. It's not some clandestine basement and some dirty guy doing some dirty things in a dirty place. It's really it's food grade, pharma grade production, and care is taken on all the compliance levels that we're beholden to under the MMPR. So it's amazing to see the transformation of people's mindset when they actually get into the facility and see the production in place, see the care that's taken in the packaging, production, and the distribution of it as well.
And we've learned a lot about prevention and prevention programs, but I think the number one most important thing about preventing any harm is to get out and talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. And forums like this are a really important way to do this. The more you talk about alcohol, the more you talk about marijuana, the more you talk about gambling, the less of a stigma there is to seeking help, and the more we learn about how to manage these products. So I think this is, I appreciate Healthy Minds for hosting this event, and thank you all for being here. Thank you.